Welcome to the Double Chins Wagon podcast, where Ray and Lindsay discuss the absurdities of being millennial moms in rural America and the challenges of living authentically. Please leave a review, subscribe, and interact with us by visiting doublechinswagon.com. Now we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, we are live, not in our usual location. We are what I would refer to this as Lugnut Stadium, but it's not called that anymore. It's Jackson Stadium or something. Well, it's in Lansing, my birthplace. Super exciting. Just down the road. I was born at Sparrow Hospital, and it's not even called that anymore. No. And the reason why we're here at a sports ball facility is we are attending a special event, Michigan Downtown Association's spring workshop. And we are joined by two very special guests, a holy man by the name of, I'm sorry, like the serious face that you've been making this whole time has been amazing.
I'm now a cardinal.
There you go.
Did you guys watch Conclave?
Awesome.
It was so good. Conclave is so good. Watch it, guys.
We are now at a different conclave. Yeah.
So the Michigan Downtown Association is a great organization, 45 years old this year. And we have Bob and Jerry. They are, I told them, a comedic duo, but also some of my, role models in the world of downtown and economic development and historic preservation. And we're here to talk about all things fun and controversial and to swear a little bit about the work that we do, basically.
Take it away, Bob.
I got involved in this cult. The historic preservation and downtown revitalization are two wonderful cults. But no, seriously, it's just a way of life. My family, myself, passed on to me from my grandfathers, grandparents, through my parents. Respect for old buildings, the love of downtowns. And I'm an old guy. I'm 72 years old. I remember when there were no malls. I remember when the mall started. I watched the decline of Michigan's greatest downtowns. Absolutely. And the greatest thing of all, which makes that itch on your back that you just can't reach, and finally the greatest feeling in the world, is see a mall dying. I love it. It's awesome because people can rethink the real history of the downtown, that all the essence of downtown coming back. So what do you think, Jer? Am I full of shit?
No. And
you don't think I'm full of shit?
Well, only at times. So that being said, my name is Jerry Detloff. I'm actually the great nephew of Al Cobman, who is one of the most successful mall builders. I'm just kidding. In Metro Detroit. Now, all that being said, yes. I mean, the great thing about this is there's four people around this little table, and we all have the passion. We all have the fire in our bellies about downtowns and historic preservation and how they blend together so well. But as Bob referenced, the times when the malls were, the place to be, the place to be seen. And now to see that resurgence in downtowns, and that's where people gravitate to. That's all part of our history, and we love it. And this organization, the MDA, is just absolutely amazing. Bob, this guy over here has 45 years because he was one of the original founding fathers of that. He doesn't have a powdered wig on today.
I have it. At a main event, I did wear a powdered wig.
Yeah, you did. I was telling some people about that. Yeah.
No, what you're seeing here is the old guard, but what I like is these
new guard.
Young professionals. Yep. These two women next to us are the new guard. And so the torch has been passed, literally, to the current generation, and that's awesome. Because we need more people, men, women involved, young people, to keep this going. So, but to tell the story, always how downtowns are up and down, and don't take anything for granted. And so using experience, I think that's where you guys, seriously, that's right. And the name is the most awesome name for a consulting firm because they are goddamn wonderful people. GD is an awesome group. Get to know them. You'll be better for it.
So let's hear about it.
Oh, well, yes. I want to go back in time a little bit to help Ray understand how I came to know the two of you.
Yeah.
So
you through Facebook. Like, that's it. Our only interactions have been on the internet.
And to give everyone context to why Ray knows Bob from Facebook, because our consulting firm, GD Placemaking, anytime I post anything, it doesn't matter what it is, Bob Donahue is number one in line to like it and comment, and there's usually at least one good pun, if not more, and it's top quality. Dad jokes, puns, you name it, he's there for it, and he's reliable, and it's fantastic. So that is all Ray really knows about Bob Donahue.
I did have an opportunity to watch him like in the Main Street directors group a little bit, but I think you were on your way out of that group when I was first joining. So I'd like a little bit of experience with you there, but most of it has been in the last year or so. Yeah.
How did you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ray and I met in the trenches.
Literal trenches.
Yeah, and Bob and I and Jerry. Well, I feel like it's because of MDA. Basically, Jerry used to be the executive director of this fine organization, and Bob, having been a founding member of this and another organization that he just received a Lifetime Achievement Award from, and he's holy man over there. Doesn't want me to talk about it apparently because he's shaking his head, but the Michigan Historic Preservation Network, he's kind of a mover and shaker with all these big deals, right? But I met them through this organization when I started my journey as being a director for a nonprofit version of a Main Street community in the city of Wayne. And that place, I tell you what, is super special. I did. And they had a special circumstance where they had a downtown development authority. We don't have to get into the weeds, but essentially there was some mismanaged funds and people weren't really aware of the trouble they could have gotten into if, say, the state government got wind of it. And I thought, because of observing the way Bob handled a crowded room, essentially he's very blunt, to the point. He doesn't hold back when it comes to telling it like it is, and he does swear a little bit, so he gets your attention. I thought he was the perfect person to deliver the message that needed to be delivered because they weren't listening to little old me, right? So I essentially, even though they had no reason, because at that point, Bob was directing the Oakland County Main Street program, which is completely separate from what I was doing. And they came to town and we had a meeting. A little bit, some people perked up a little bit, but ultimately, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot, and it is what it is. We can only help those who want to be helped, but that was the beginning of it. But I've always been impressed by Bob, and I remember one time recently, last year I think, I was giving a presentation, and I started off by saying, especially for the new people in the room, right? Like, this is their first time coming to an event, and here's this crass guy who's just, So how did you introduce yourselves to the room today? Can we review how that went?
Well, okay, yeah. So I got the mic first. So, so my comment, I'm Jerry Detloff, and I'm Bob Donahue's personal assistant, okay? And then I had to leave the room, and when I got back, I heard that I got payback from Bob.
So when it was, around the room, the intros, I introduced myself as Bob Donahue with a program called Community Heart and Soul. And I also work for the Detloff family, who hired me to pick Jerry up from the senior home and to make sure he's delivered back safely.
And so is Lindsay. And the first time I met Lindsay was actually in Wayne, Michigan, because I came with Bob as part of that presentation and that. But then after Lindsay left Wayne, she took the job as the Main Street director, correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, in Charlevoix, Michigan. And Charlevoix, that town, it was just magic. What Lindsay did with that program, and it became one of the stellar Michigan Main Street programs on that. Unfortunately, as we all have encountered in some way, shape, or form, sometimes, it butts heads. Success butts heads with those in place or entrenched and don't, as we term it, don't get it. So that's why Lindsay has now ventured on her own. And with Ray, when you see something so successful and then people, for whatever reason, just say, you know what? Nah, we don't need this. We can do this on our own.
Yeah. Charlevoix if you really get into the whole psychology of this, you heard of the Oedipus complex? Well, they have the Oedipus complex. So sometimes you just have to cut your losses and move on.
That's why they pay him the big bucks, right? Oh my goodness.
I do want to take a quick moment, especially now that we've already said a curse word. Lindsay has said MDA several times. Just for the record, guys, we're not talking about drugs in this exact instance. We're talking about the Michigan Downtown Association. Every now and again, I feel like we have to give you guys qualifiers. We talk about drugs kind of a lot. So we have to clarify. This is not one of those times, guys. This is professional stuff because we're adults with jobs.
Contemplating, is there a need? Yeah, in this business of downtown revitalization and historic preservation, you're always wondering, is it drugs? Is it alcohol? I need something pretty quick here because of the frustration level. But in all seriousness, we rely on each other to get what we need. So it's a good thing.
And that, I think,
Can I ask you something?
yes.
Am I seeing something? Is that Nick Jonah coming out of the dugout over there? Sorry, I always have to, knowing that, this is a real.
She damn near passed out because of that mere mention of his name. So.
He does play baseball.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey. So yeah, I mean, it's great sharing the passion with other people. And I just can't say it enough. It's great to see the next generation getting involved here because it's a forever thing. Downtowns, historic preservation, they work hand in hand. If we're gonna elevate our culture for the future, these important elements have to live on.
I would say that Ray and I have a similar story because, and I think generally speaking, our culture, it all very much goes along the same path as our society as a whole, because as urban sprawl happened and as we kind of did everything we could to distance ourselves from other people, we all crave connection and community. And most of those connections can be made in the traditional downtown setting that isn't reliant on cars. And when I moved up north to take the job in Charlevoix, I found myself feeling very isolated. I didn't feel like I could make friends because everybody, let's just be real, loved Trump. And they have a lot of money. And so not a lot of people to relate to. And as network of Michigan Main Street managers or directors, we would often get together virtually during the pandemic. And it allowed us to grow into friends. And Ray and I were often the ones on our silly Zoom calls that were always chiming in and always borderline pushing issues or just questioning things a little bit more than the other people on the call. We bonded very quickly for a number of reasons, but also became each other's sounding board. And in this kind of work, you are putting your all into it because you're trying to change a community that doesn't want to change, generally speaking, or they think they want to, but then when it comes down to it, they're scared. And so it's really easy to have bad days when you're a change agent, essentially. So having a friend is important. And I'm so excited that I get to do a thing with this person that has experienced equal amount of ridiculous things that I have. Maybe more, maybe less, who knows? But yeah.
So I obviously have to tie this back to a book in my life. So you guys all know I love me some Grady Hendrix. You should read My Best Friend's Exorcism. It is fantastic. It is so fun. It's a little kitschy. It's very silly, but it's beautiful because at the end of the day, it's these two best friends who met at a roller rink in their downtown and were friends until they freaking died. Like, it's so beautiful to make these connections in those third places and to now be a part of building those third places and promoting them. I cannot imagine how many stories started in the places that we got to touch. And I hope that they all end as cool as that book did, because it was lovely. So Grady Hendrix, My Best Friend's Exorcism, read it. Think of me.
With her tiny construction safety helmet. We will get to why that's there in a moment. So I want to ask if you can tell us a story, any story that pops into your mind about some sort of ridiculous public meeting experience that you had in your career.
Well, I would say almost every meeting that I went to help Jerry in Royal Oak was, no. In all due respect, there were a couple tough meetings in Royal Oak. But the craziest meeting, I think there were a couple meetings in my career. One of them was in Commerce Township, and one of them was in Rochester. Not when I worked for Rochester, but But as a resident of Commerce Township, when I saw someone was blatantly lying, I stood up at separate times, years apart, and said, "That is an outright lie. I won't stand for this. I'm out of here." And so everybody's like, "Whoa." I mean, they're in shock. But sometimes, I don't know, that was a little too blunt. I don't know if I do that again. But sometimes you just have enough is enough. I didn't rant. I said my little blunt speech and I walked out.
It's an effective
Yeah.
Yeah.
use of
Yeah. So, and that was 20 years ago. So I think we're getting back to some of that. Possibly. We'll see.
Well, you have to stand up for what you believe
Yeah.
on that. So my story from a public meeting standpoint was years ago before I got into downtown management. I was the economic development director in Hamtramck, Michigan, which is just literally surrounded by the city of Detroit. And we were doing a development on the city's south end that had become, short of saying just very blighted. And Wayne County, that's where Hamtramck is located, had proposed a jail project for that. They wanted to build a Wayne County detention facility. So the council at the time, I wasn't appointed by the mayor, but I was an employee of the city council. They asked me to explore it and kind of look into it. So I reached out to some county folks and that just to kind of begin a dialogue. But our mayor at the time, God rest his soul, he was mayor for 20 years, Robert Kazarin. So he came up to me and he goes, "If I hear anything about a jail in Hamtramck, it's like, that's the last straw. You're done on that." I said, "Well, Mayor, the city council has asked me to look into this." Making a long story short, we had a public forum at one of the local high schools and the place was packed. So we had speakers, block club organizations, local businesses, certainly the county, city officials, and that. Everybody got a chance to take the microphone. And the very first person that spoke was the mayor. And it started off, "You tell Ed McNamara, who was the county executive at the time in Wayne County, you tell Mr. McNamara, go build that jail in Livonia." Ed was the mayor at the time, before county exec. All that being said, I thought, we're done. We're cooked here. Until the mic started to get passed around and people started to, because there were significant benefits, economic benefits and financial benefits that the city would realize. All that being said, at the end of this meeting, the pendulum had swung and we had everybody in the room was applauding the effort. Let's get this project here. And I still remember the mayor and I coming out and on the steps of the high school, came up to me and he goes, "Jerry, the people have spoken. So be it. Make it happen."
So the con job
Oh,
was not a con job, even though it was perceived as a con job. It turned out to be a con job.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So anyway,
I have one. I have
Okay.
another one. So I retired from Oakland County, but I still had some gas in my tank, I guess. Didn't want to sit in the lazy boy and rot and die. So I went to work. As a county employee, I was an advisor to 20-some DDAs. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to be back just working for one town, kind of get them going or get them back on track. So I became the DDA executive director in South Lyon. Well, we had this god-awful, worst ever city manager I've ever seen in my 40-some year career. This was at a city council meeting. I'm delivering the downtown development report. But earlier in the week, I said to the city manager, "I have something cooked up. This business that was in our downtown for 55 years was going out of business. Family business, Brown's Root Beer." And I said, "We really ought to honor him. Give him the key to the city." She said, "No, why would we want to do that?" And she was, like I say, clueless. So I got the DDA board in a separate vote to say, no, we should honor this person. So I thought, hey, wait a minute. The office secretary had a connection to the high school marching band. So unbeknownst to anyone else, only to the mayor, because the mayor was great, I said, "I've arranged for the marching band to come into the room when we give the key to the city." And so we had it all scripted. It was great. Ed Brown, and I tipped Ed. I said, "Make sure you get all your family there." So Ed came in, we gave him the city. I said, "Hold on a second." And the mayor said, "Oh, we have some special guests." The band came in around the side, up the front. The pom-pom team did a routine. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we had the whole marching band come in and through, and they did the school fight song, but Ed loved the hell out of it. So that was it was the most fun and defiant move. It was great.
Okay, wait, but how did the city manager respond? Was she just like...
She was just, it's disgusting, blah, blah, blah. But the mayor loved it, so yes.
I want to fight her.
Yeah. Yep, too bad. Didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I knew that, actually, there's a part of your career when you say, well, let's see, I retired.
Yeah.
I was always a risk taker anyway. So it was a little weird. My wife would die 1,000 times if she knew how at risk some of my comments put us. I always figured, you know what? I don't need this job, so I'm going to say it like it is. And so that was one of those moments. This family needed to be respected for what I said. We need to go up and beyond. Yeah, it was way over the top, but it was fun.
Was there a smoke machine?
Ray asked if there was a smoke machine.
No, we should have. Damn it. Had we known, had someone said it, we would have done it. Yeah.
No, but I love...
Damn, yes.
That's such a good story. And it brings me to, generally speaking, there are so many things worth celebrating in our work, in our lives, and there are so many people that try to be too serious about shit, right? And it makes things unnecessarily unpleasant. And not to say that this was the case, but I'm going to try to make light of the scenario that I personally was really excited to be a part of in Adrian, Michigan. So I mentioned this Lifetime Achievement Award, one of which Bob has received. I'm sorry, I have to bring it up, but it just made me feel so bad because and this is, no particular person's fault. It's just the situation that happened that day for, I'm sure, a number of reasons. But are people complaining? Yes. Lovely. Okay. Quit being so loud. So I know, our cackles. So the Michigan Historic Preservation Network has a fall benefit every year, and it's supposed to be a fundraiser, but they also give out awards and to very deserving people. And he's our priest over here is not holding it together. Who was it? Dana? We got in trouble, guys.
I love it. Today is a success.
And so it's at this beautiful armory building in Adrian, which is a very old town in Michigan because it's on the border of Ohio. And Bob has done incredible things over his career. He very much deserves this award. And I was so excited that I was able to go to witness him get it. And how many people do you think came to that event?
25, maybe. It was what I was disheartened about was not about me. I appreciate the recognition, but it was a fundraiser for Michigan Preservation Network, and thus probably should have been put in a community close to other people where they could come and donate funds. But I do certainly appreciate the recognition.
Yeah, and I'm not, I seriously am not mentioning it. It just so happens that I'm bringing it up because I feel like little things like that, or big things, right, deserve so much more pomp and circumstance. You deserved a marching band and maybe confetti and maybe silly string.
And a smoke machine.
And a smoke machine.
There was no smoke machine. In fact, I'm pissed off that Lindsay didn't get a hold of you to get the smoke machine. Come on.
Seriously.
Opportunities were missed.
Bob, I think this is important for you to know. When Graylene graduated from RRC, I literally threw us a graduation. I made everyone on the steering committee wear robes. We got a cake that had a freaking hat on it.
We're back to being loud, and Dana's probably going to kick us hard. I don't know. And this is a new building, so let's talk about that. How newer buildings are really low quality when it comes to sound barrier.
If you're going to have a group of people in a building, you should have a better gasket on the doors. It sounded like Delta Airlines was outside revving up the engine, and the jet was going to take off because of the wind.
Yeah. I thought it was a tornado siren.
Like there were moments that it sounded like we were in the movie Wizard of Oz.
It literally was a blown opportunity.
Oh my God. Oh.
So, moral of the story, have more fun, do good work, and make more connections in downtowns everywhere.
Work hard and play hard.
Yes.
Fun is the fifth element of downtown management. If you can't have fun, get the hell out of this business.
Yes.
Go home.
All right, that is all so we don't get in more trouble. Thank you, bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So, brought to you by Ram Construction. They actually aren't sponsoring this, but they had really cool little soft, squishy helmet things on their swag table because, you know, everyone needs to relieve stress and also be.
So you got to exercise your hands,
They're
do the stretching more, because we all spend all day
on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but while we were standing in line for lunch, which was tacos, got real excited about safety gear for safety meetings, which Ray is very much having one right now.
Yeah. Did you want in on this?
Yeah. So I wanted to tell Ray about,
Yeah.
because we don't really have a ton of things to talk about. And obviously 30 minutes of back and forth with those two cats was pretty good. So yesterday I had a busy day and I drove down to Lansing from Charlevoix because I don't like getting up very early. And we've established the fact that Ray doesn't either, but she opted to leave this morning. So good for her. What time did you get up?
My alarm went off at 5. I had trivia last night, so I couldn't come down last night.
Her dedication is real. Let's just acknowledge that.
And it was not great. My trivia was beautiful. I wrote an excellent quiz. I wrote it a little too smart though. Like I wrote it a little too hard, which I do sometimes. And I really try to keep a cap on that. I did not do a great job of that yesterday though. So it was rough.
And haven't you also recently said that you feel like you're the least smart out of all your friends?
Yes.
So at least now we know that you're more smart than most of the people in Grayling, right?
I mean, yes. I do love the people that come to trivia though, and I love doing trivia and I know where I live. So I do try to make it appropriate because I want people to have fun.
She knows where she lives. Oh my God. Okay, so it's a know your audience type situation. So I just wanted to share my little journey because I, for some reason, ended up being extremely safe before I started on my 3-ish hour drive, 3.5, I don't know. And I actually ended up leaving from Petoskey. So I had a couple of things that had to be accomplished. I had ordered business cards for this thing that we're at today because we ended up making a big announcement about a program that we're doing in partnership with the Michigan Downtown Association. Because we're sponsors, which is really weird to say out loud.
That is weird. It says sponsor today, and it's got the business name instead of City of Grayling or Village of Kalkaska. It's weird. This is new.
This is our thing now. Thank you, partner sponsor. They didn't misspell Ray's name.
It's fine.
It's fine. So I had to have these business cards, and I knew because the last few days, so one of our clients is opening up a women's wellness clinic. Her open house is this evening. So I've been designing and printing a whole bunch of stuff for her to get her ready while also preparing for this big announcement today, along with just regular life things. And I knew with the way my day was going to go that if I ordered the business cards, I should have them ready here in Lansing because it was going to be easier for me to get them when I got here. So
everything is easier to find in Lansing.
Yeah, because this is a city and not the middle of fucking nowhere like where we live. I leave and I know that Staples closes at 9. So I have a very, very tight time frame. I had not eaten anything, but I was like, okay, I just got to go. I only have so much time. But then I realized I had 0 gas. So, and mind you, I am high as a kite already. And I'm having to problem solve very serious things. And so I find my way to a gas station. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get gas, but I'm already going to lose just enough time where I'm not going to make it to Staples by 9 o'clock. So what the fuck am I going to do?
Speed.
No, because I knew I was not going to be capable of that given my, mindset.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I didn't want to be unsafe completely.
Yeah.
So
you didn't have a safety meeting, so you probably should have practiced some legitimate safety. Yeah, that tracks.
So I call Staples in Lansing and I say, hello. This is going to be a weird question, but I ordered some business cards and they're ready and I already paid for them. Do you think it's possible if you could just leave them outside somewhere in a corner and I can pick them up when I get down there because I'm currently in Petoskey and I will not get there before you close? She's like, I think I'm going to have to go ask my manager. I'm like, this is not that hard, folks, but okay, sure. So she puts me on hold. And then a little bit later, I feel like he and I would have fun hanging out. He sounded cool. Who knows, though? Happy dude gets on the phone. He's like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I'm like, "Hi."
Can you help me? You sound like you are 12, sir.
And I'm like, "Strange request. Can you leave my order of business cards outside after you close?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's raining outside." And I'm thinking, well, are there any plastic bags in your store? But I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Because we have not banned them in Michigan. Like one state has, I think.
Colorado
Maybe
can't get bags.
Oh,
California as well.
I know.
Colorado, you can still buy them. Like you can pay for your plastic bag.
Right. Okay, so anyway, so then he continues because I didn't say, "Do you have any plastic bags?" I was just thinking it because clearly critical thinking is not happening here.
No.
And then he keeps talking and he said, "And also, there are some people that live in the neighborhood that don't have houses." And I'm like,
Why would
okay.
they steal my business?
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if they would have any use for a box of business cards that has someone else's information on them. But cool. I see where we're headed here. So then he's like, "Well, we do open at 8 in the morning." I'm like, "I have to be to the place where I'm going by 8. So not the best solution." And at that point, I really thought I would be here right at 8. And I was close. So
Sure.
it's fine. So then I'm sitting in my car and I'm thinking, and we're still on the phone. And I'm like, okay, how about this? Is there such thing as me being able to call an Uber driver and have them pick them up for me and take them to my hotel where I'm staying? Is that a thing that can happen? And he's like, yeah, we don't care who picks them up as long as they have the order number. And I'm like, okay, I guess someone might come pick them up if I can figure this out. So then I, as a kite, sitting in my car at the gas station, I feel like I was in my car at the gas station for an hour before I even started pumping gas. I'm on the Uber app and I'm trying to say that my pickup spot is Staples in Lansing and my drop-off spot is the hotel that I'm going to stay at. And it's like, "You are not currently in Lansing. Are you sure?" And I'm like, fucking yes. So then it's like, "Well, is it you that we're picking up?" And at first I was like, "No, because you're going to pick up cards." But how am I supposed to tell it that? So then it's like, "Can we access your contacts?" And I'm like, "No, why do you need to do that?" So then it wouldn't let me do anything. I had to start over. So I say, "Yes, you can access my contacts." And they're like, "Okay, so who are we picking up?" I'm like, "Nobody." Like, I'm going to enter Staples into my contacts or something. So I finally just lie and say, "Yes, it's me," and get someone to take the ride. And I message the dude and I say, "Can you pick up my shit and take it to the hotel?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." Okay, cool. So then I'm sitting in my car and I'm feeling proud. I'm like, I figured out some fucking complex shit.
Why didn't you just call the hotel and ask them to do it?
In a normal world, that would have been a good idea. But now that and I didn't know this ahead of time, but having experienced the hotel and how little staff they had, they probably would have been like, LOL. No, they don't even have valet, okay? So
I feel so posh now thinking about like hotels that I've stayed at that would have done that.
I know. We expect service. What are we thinking? Post-pandemic world is so different.
It really is.
So I was so proud of myself. I was like, man, I can do anything. Like the whole time this was happening, I was very focused on the task. And I could hear people talking, generally speaking, because I was at a gas station. Yeah, there's going to be people coming and going, and I could hear voices and stuff. But then, what?
I now have some concerns about where this story is going.
I mean, it's not too bad. As I'm finally done doing all the hard thinking that I had been doing, there's a person getting out of their car and just kind of walking in, and they're looking toward my car, but not at me, kind of beyond me, and in a way of concern. They're just looking in that general direction. And I'm like, what's going on? So I look over and the person that's on the next side of the pump from me, screaming at the top of his lungs in anger at Lord knows what, just fucking pissed and losing his shit. And that had been going on the entire time I was doing all of my thinking.
You were dialed in.
So I had no idea that this man is losing his actual mind right next to me the entire time. I have no idea if there was another person. I don't know if he had, like, if he was on the phone with someone. No idea. It was weird. And so then I'm like,
This is so perfect. I have an excellent story to tell now.
I'm definitely not getting out of my car to pump my gas right now. And thank God, maybe, that I was so focused on the task that I didn't encounter this human, because I don't think I would have been able to handle that.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, so thankfully, I guess I noticed his rage and rampage towards the end, because he then left. Just, all right, I'm done now.
Just need to get out and kick and scream a little
Right. And so then I get out of my car. All right, it's finally time to, like, down the road. My wallet's in the trunk, and I'm like, oh my God, everything's hard. What the fuck? I get my wallet. I put my credit card in the stupid slot. I even enter my M-Perks and use a 20-cent off coupon. So I'm feeling like, okay,
you are
I
accomplishing
can really
things.
do things while I'm high. Why don't I just do all of life like this? So good. So then I get to the point where you have to select which type of fuel you want. And I push 87 for regular unleaded petrol if we were in the UK. And for some reason, the buttons were a little messed up. Like, part of the sticker was off of it, and another one was, like, a little cracked. But other than that, everything looked normal. And I had pushed 87, but then the 93 lit up, and I was a little confused. But I was like, maybe because it's broken, it just is messed up. So I started pumping my gas, and I realized I'm filling my car up with premium right now. And now all of the good things that I did feel like it was nothing, because I just wasted so much money. At least I saved 20 cents per gallon on premium fuel for my car, which does not need it. And that's my story. Then I ended up getting here and everything was fine.
Perfect.
Yay. And I slept like a baby after I edited our Christmas episode that just came out yesterday.
Okay, so I want to tell you, I really appreciate that you ran into a crazy person this week, because I did as well.
You were traveling.
Traveling, yeah. So Calliope and I went to Denver. We took the train, which was very fun. Do recommend. I super enjoyed it. We got to Denver on Sunday morning at like 7:30 in the morning. And our train actually came in early. And so Calliope and I are just sitting outside of Union Station in downtown Denver. It's beautiful. It's sunny. Our lives we're sunflowering, just like taking it all in, waiting for Mama to get there and pick us up. And this gentleman comes by who may or may not be unhoused. And he's telling us that he missed his bus and he spent all his money on his bus ticket. And so he's just looking for a couple bucks to get a cup of coffee. So at this point, I legitimately don't have any cash because I had tipped on the train. And we're like, sorry, but, and he's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. So there's these other two guys that are sitting kind of behind us, and he says the same thing to them, and they're like, yeah, we can help you out. And so they gave him like $16, and I know this because he turned around to Calliope and I was like, they gave me $16. I can get us all coffee now.
Aww.
And he was so friendly. And we're like, oh, thanks. That's okay. That's really nice of you. Enjoy your coffee. And he comes over and he like does a little side hug to me. And I was like, I'm not sure why you're hugging me, but it's fine. And then he goes to hug Calliope and she's like, okay. And he kisses her right on the cheek. And she was like, looking at me like, what is happening? And then he wanders off. He was just this happy guy. And so then my mom gets there and she's like, Nana, some homeless man kissed me.
That is, okay. You say crazy person, and I'm not expecting a wholesome,
It was a really beautiful story. It was odd though.
Odd, but that's amazing.
It was super nice.
There was nothing wrong with any of what happened.
No, it's just
And
really, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, like, I mean, it's kind of, my daughter is clearly a minor.
It's not, because, for example, we were talking about community, lack thereof, how people generally seek and long for connection. Once upon a time, people always like hugged and kissed when they saw each other. Like it was just normal. For example, Jerry Detloff, when he saw me today, hug and straight up kiss. Not even the side of the cheek, kind of you're pretending to kiss. No, lips on the cheek. Didn't hold back. And he does that with everybody. I know that it's weird and gross, especially if you're an introvert. But at the same time, for other people, it's just friendly.
Yeah.
And I think your homeless guy was just genuinely happy that someone was
I'm
nice
sure
enough.
he was really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the best homeless person story I've ever heard. Hey, James Alt, or Jim, our magician friend, is
super
talking
cool.
right now. He's probably never listened to this. Maybe he has, I don't know. But Jim's cool. We like Jim. He's from Lapeer. And if you've ever been to Lapeer, Michigan, you probably have a lot in common with a lot of other people. But I've been to Lapeer, and that is where I used to have an aunt and uncle that lived there. And I think I told you about this recently, where that's where I learned that you can lick sassafras.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And taste root beer,
Mhm.
basically. And that we linked it back to that business that was 55 years old with
That
root
is
beer.
fun. That is fun.
Look at that. Oh my God, guys. I feel like we can do a whole episode on all these weird, interconnected
Yeah.
scenarios that I have been uncovering in my life lately. I legitimately think I need to write a book. It's trippy AF, and it's because I've been getting high every day that I'm starting to have all these revelations, and it's beautiful, and I highly recommend it. I don't know what else to say except for the fact that I have to pee and I'm really thirsty. And I realized this week that putting a sticker that says fuck Trump on my laptop for work was not the best idea. As a person that's at least 20 years older than me had to use my laptop during a presentation she was giving.
Oh yeah. You need to get some post-its.
I'll just carry post-its with me everywhere I go.
They're not hard. I carry them
Yeah.
everywhere.
I mean, I don't, but I'm going to now. And I'm sure I will find other reasons that that's a beneficial move.
Yeah, I leave notes for people.
Right. Oh,
Strangers.
I could draw so many penises and just stick them everywhere.
You could. That is a choice, yeah. I usually tell people that I like a bumper sticker on their car, or that I think that they're parked like an idiot.
So many good things can be done.
One time I left one on one of several blocks down from my house. I was walking home, and I just really liked all of the plants. It must have been spring, because all the plants and flowers and stuff were out, and her porch just made me so happy when I walked by it.
And you were like,
so I
this is
pulled my stickies out, and I was like, your porch is really cool. I love it. And then I put it on the door.
I love this fun life hack that we just shared with the world. Apparently, I'm allergic to Ray.
Such is my life.
Yeah. So I guess we can close out by talking a little bit more about this thing that we're doing with Michigan Downtown Association. Because why not actually talk about our business a little bit on here? Since this is probably the most serious episode that we've made so far.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, it's up there for sure.
Aside from talking about depression and other things like that, job stuff.
Definitely the most professional one we've done.
Yeah. We've been trying to convince you that we're real professional people, and now you kind of got to see that on display. So we created a grant program, but it's in kind, so no actual dollars will be exchanged. This statewide organization will promote it on our behalf. We're the service provider. And essentially, all of the communities that are members of this organization, which is over 100, I believe, they promote it. Yeah. They promote it to their business community. And if someone's interested in applying, and I'll tell you what they're applying for in a second, then they apply to their downtown management board or director or whoever. Then all of those applications, the best ones in that community, they get filtered up to the Michigan Downtown Association, who picks the top 3, and those businesses get to pass go. So what do they get? There's this thing that was created by a guy named John Shallert from Colorado. I don't say it like that, but people do, and it's so stupid. So if you're one of them, I'm sorry that I just offended you, but don't say it like that. And John has created some really great content about how businesses become destinations, which essentially any business that serves a customer in some way, it can be a destination based on a number of things. There's 14 things, and he's created really easy to digest information that is now a course, and I facilitate that course. And so we're giving 3 of these businesses the course. We're putting them through it, which is 8 weeks, and then they will get 10 months of technical assistance through the areas that they've identified they want to work on in their business, to essentially not just give them information and then walk away and hope that they get better, because we know what it's like to go to a conference and be inspired and then put something on a shelf and go back to daily living. So to provide the assistance, but also help with accountability and come to the table with resources and expertise to actually help them implement what they've learned and become a better business. Whether a destination or not is achieved to be determined. However, the definition of a destination business is a place that a person will go no matter what to get a specific thing or to experience a certain thing. They're not questioning price. They just go there because it's a compellingly unique product or experience. For example, I was in Ludington last week. The person that was doing a workshop had in mind that she had to get this certain granola from an Amish couple that used to have a store that's not even open anymore. It was the only granola that she would buy. So she sought them out, didn't even ask about how much it was going to cost, because that's the best granola she's ever had. Doesn't matter that it probably cost her 10 times more than if she would have just bought regular granola at the store. When she used to work for Cisco also, so she probably could have even got it cheaper. Another example, destination, is there a place that you go out of your way for, just unreasonably sometimes? My example is like Zenders and Bronner's in Frankenmuth, Michigan. I freaking love those places.
I do have a specific melting pot that I like. It's the original. So melting pot is like a fondue place, and they're kind of chainish, yeah. But the one that's in downtown Littleton near Denver, that's my favorite one because the ambiance there is really cool.
Yeah.
It's in like a very old building that was a jail and a bank. It's a really neat place. So yeah.
Good example. Yeah, and so there's a lot of things that contribute to why we make these choices, but basically a destination business is able to create its own market and doesn't have to depend on external resources to drive business into their door. And so that's the goal, to strengthen small businesses, because at the end of the day, the ultimate American dream is to be your own business owner. But the way our government and society has formulated itself, despite the fact that we all claim to love and support small businesses, most things are built to fuck small businesses in the ass. Yeah. They have so many things working against them, and so many small businesses close every year because they just don't have everything they need to succeed. I personally want to be a part of the solution, and this is one way that we're doing it: 3 businesses at a time every year. That's that. That was a very long description.
Yeah, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to, and I've talked about this before, like to be on the other side of this equation, to like be a consultant, to be a provider now, and to give people that like tangible thing that they can hold on to and that they can use, and also for us to help them begin that implementation. So that hopefully they keep using it.
Yeah. And the other good thing is this organization is a great one, open to anyone who wants to join. You don't have to go through a rigorous application process and get approved or anything like that. And they do hard work. They've done good work, and they've become more and more resourceful in recent years than I've ever witnessed them in my career. And I love supporting that cause. And this is also helping to build a little bit more value into becoming a member, just another perk per se, but also supports something that they've recently identified as one of their goals, and it has been for a little while, which is to help elevate people that do the job that we used to do in communities, downtown development, or Main Street managers or directors, because a lot of people don't take that position seriously. And so this program, the way it's structured, makes it so that that director has to form good relationships with businesses and is seen as a resource, right? So it's multifaceted, it's genius, it's charitable at best, and there will be moments that I regret doing this, but at the same time, I feel like what we'll reap from it in the long run is going to be fucking spectacular, and I'm really excited. And speaking of things that are not celebrated, I feel like our announcement this morning was a little lackluster. We'll make up for it in Traverse City.
We will. It'll be super fun.
We are going to have a smoke machine.
I'm going to bring a fucking smoke machine.
And I'm going to bring confetti. Done. Okay, bye. Oh my God.
Bang, bang. Goes the golden magnum.
If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe to our podcast and head to doublechinswagon.com to learn how you can email or call our hotline to share your thoughts on our recent discussions. We love to interact with you and are always looking for guests as well. Thanks so much for listening. Now go and live your best life today.
No.